Hi everyone, this is the story of my abusive mother-in-law and my useless husband who never bothered to protect me. I'll be using fake names to keep my identity private. Sharing my story is one thing, but dealing with real-life drama is another, and I don't want anyone to find me. So let's say my name is Peyton, my husband is Grant, and my mother-in-law is Joanne. There's also my grandma Lily, who is the sole reason I'm still alive today. Grant was a decent boyfriend, and I was completely in love with him, ready to marry him. When he proposed, I immediately said yes. But my life changed drastically after that. Grant started showing many red flags. I discovered that he and his mother were extremely close, and she essentially controlled him. Joanne began creating problems as soon as she moved in with us, mooching off her son. One day, she walked in with some papers and said, "Peyton, you need to come and sign these papers. The faster you do it, the better for you." "What are those papers, Joanne?" "This is an ironclad prenup that you both need to sign. It says that in case of a divorce, neither of you can claim anything from the other. Sign it right now." "Wait a minute. Did you just make a prenup without consulting us? This is really humiliating, Joanne. Why would you do that?" "I did this so you can't take my son to the cleaners in case of a divorce. You earn way less than him, and this house is his. We cannot trust you enough to try and take everything from him." "This is insane, Joanne. I am not some witch that you make me out to be. This is ridiculous. I won't sign a prenup just like that. I feel insulted. You should have talked to us about this." "Actually, I know about the prenup. It's not a big deal, Peyton. If you're really not with me for money, you should have no problem signing this," Grant interjected. I was taken aback that Joanne and Grant had discussed this without telling me. No, I wasn't with Grant for money. I didn't earn much, but I had a substantial inheritance in store for me, which I hadn't told Grant about yet. We fought for days, and Joanne regularly insulted me for not signing the papers. Eventually, I went to my grandma for help. She listened to everything I said and then asked, "Honey, are you sure you want to marry this man? I don't think he's the right one for you. You two aren't even married yet, and he's already making plans with his mother to corner you." "It's just this one problem, Grandma. I really love Grant, and he loves me too. I can't imagine marrying someone else. He is a good man." "Well, if you've made up your mind, I would encourage you to sign the prenup. I'll send my lawyer to read through the terms, but I have a request. Never mention that your grandparents are millionaires. I don't want them to know. I haven't told them anything yet, Grandma, but why do you want me to say it? I understand things better than you, Peyton. You're seeing them with rose-tinted glasses. Your grandfather and I worked hard to build this fortune. I don't want anyone to take advantage of you and steal your money. Grandma, you don't have to worry about that. I won't tell them anything since you asked me not to. Besides, Grant is a good man, and he will never do that. If his mother becomes too much, I'm sure he'll protect his wife." I was wrong. Grant was a horrible man, and his mother was much worse than I knew. I gave in and signed the prenup, later realizing it was a wise decision. As soon as we got married, Joanne started to abuse me regularly. Even after signing the prenup, she verbally and sometimes physically abused me. I'm too ashamed to speak of most things she did, but I will mention one incident because it was the turning point in my marriage. One day, when I was home after work, Joanne stormed into my room with a smirk on her face. She handed me a big bag of clothes and demanded that I wash them. I didn't protest because I was used to this behavior. I knew that if I refused, she would tell Grant, and then the two would verbally abuse me. It was a routine, so I picked up the heavy bag, even though it was hard for me. As I was walking down the hall, Joanne tripped me, causing me to fall and hurt my ankle. I screamed in pain, but Joanne just laughed and walked away. After putting some ice on my ankle, I called Grant. "Grant, I fell and hurt my ankle. Your mother tripped me today. I've taken her abuse for a long time now. You need to do something. She's crossed the line." "Don't make up lies about Mom, Peyton. She would never do something like that. You just want her out of the house and don't want to do your chores. Stop lying and defaming my mom." "I'm not lying, Grant. Please believe me." "Don't waste my time, Peyton. Go back and do the chores my mom gave you. I don't want to hear another complaint from you." Grant hung up on me. He never stood up for me, always acting like I was in the wrong. I didn't say anything because I didn't want him to leave, but this time, I couldn't take it anymore. I just cracked. Secretly, I had been seeing a therapist with my grandma's help, but their abusive ways were becoming too much to handle. It was then that I knew I had to get out. Joanne even sent me nasty texts saying I deserved what she did and that Grant would never speak against her. I was furious and determined to seek revenge. Later, my grandma passed away. I was heartbroken but relieved she was no longer in pain. I stayed strong, thinking she had finally reunited with my granddad. Grant didn't help me at all during this time. He didn't even show up to the funeral, but he found out that I had inherited $250 million. Grant was shocked and started being extra nice to me. The next day, another surprise awaited me. Joanne was sitting at the foot of my bed, looking creepily sweet. "What are you doing here, Joanne? No one told me you were coming today. Why were you staring at me while I was sleeping?" "Oh, I came early to help you with the chores. I made you tea and it's right beside the bed. I know how much you love tea, so I ordered a special batch for you. You didn't answer why you were in my room while I was sleeping. It's creepy as hell. I was trying to massage your feet, Peyton. I know you hurt your ankle while carrying my laundry. Your feet must be sore, so I thought I could massage them for you. You literally tripped me that day, Joanne. How dare you show up and try to massage my feet? Don't you have any shame? Come on, don't be so dramatic. It was an honest mistake. I didn't know you'd fall or that the load was so heavy. I already massaged your foot to make up for it, didn't I? You think massaging my foot will make up for all the abuse? You're insane, Joanne. Get out of my room. I don't want to see your face right now. All right, I'll be in the kitchen making you breakfast. You don't have to worry about anything. I'll take care of it and make sure Grant has everything he needs. You take your time and freshen up." Joanne said that sweetly and left with a skip in her step. Her sudden change in attitude made my head spin. Even lying down, I felt like she had breached my privacy and was acting like a lunatic. Money can make people do crazy things, and Joanne was proof of that. Grant must have told her about my inheritance, prompting her visit and this sudden change of heart. But neither Grant nor Joanne knew that they wouldn't get their hands on my fortune. I had made sure of that. I got out of bed and dressed in my best clothes. It was my day of revenge, and I wanted to look my best. My therapy had been working well, and I finally had the confidence to stand up for myself. I went down to the kitchen with my bag, which held some important documents I needed to send out today. I guess you can tell what I was about to do. I found Grant and Joanne in the kitchen, looking very happy and whispering to each other. When they saw me, their smiles widened. Grant pulled out a chair for me while Joanne set about fixing me a plate. "Why did you make breakfast today? I could have done it myself. You didn't have to trouble yourself with it. Grant hates it when you do something in this house." "Nonsense, I'm happy to do this for you, Peyton. It's not a big deal," Joanne replied sweetly. "Yes, it's just breakfast. My mom can do this for you. You don't have to worry about any kind of work from now on. Once we sell the house and buy a mansion, I'll look for a housekeeper. Until then, my mother can handle all the chores. I'll help her out too. You think buying my medicines is a waste of money, but suddenly hiring a housekeeper is cheap for you? And how do you plan to buy a mansion? Been robbing banks lately? Don't be ridiculous. We have plenty of money now. You just got a huge inheritance from your grandmother," Grant said. Yes, Grant is right. Finally, we are millionaires. We don't have to worry about money anymore. Your inheritance will last us a lifetime. We can do whatever we want now, Joanne chimed in. Yeah, I've been thinking about quitting my job. I was getting burnt out anyway. Maybe we can take a vacation and have some fun, Grant added. I started to laugh loudly at what they said. I couldn't believe my ears. It had only been a day since I received my inheritance, and these two were already making plans, thinking I would just hand over the money and let them do whatever they wanted. One day of fake good behavior was supposed to wash away years of abuse from my husband and mother-in-law. Joanne and Grant looked uncomfortable with my laughter, trying to avoid my gaze. Maybe their own plans sounded ridiculous even to them, as they held on to the hope that I would magically forgive them. After laughing for a few seconds, I said, "My God, it's been one day since I got my inheritance, and look how drastically you've changed your tunes. Money does make a difference, doesn't it?" "Let's not dwell on the past now," Joan replied. "We had no idea you had such good luck coming your way. We would have treated you better if we knew." "Yeah, you shouldn't hide things from your husband and in-laws, Peyton. That was very sneaky of you. Anyway, what should we do with so much money? I was thinking of a house and a Caribbean vacation." "Don't just say house," Joan interjected. "Say mansion or villa. We can even opt for a penthouse. That would suit our status better." We are millionaires after all. All my friends will be so jealous of me. I listened to their banter and then casually took out the documents I had been hiding in my folder. Joanne and Grant looked expectantly at me, as if I was giving them papers that said all the money was theirs. But they were in for a shock. Holding the papers, I said, I would like to correct you there, guys. We are not millionaires. I am a millionaire. The money is mine, and I got it as my inheritance. Yes, you did get the money, but we share everything. We are married after all. So you should be sharing your money with me, Grant said. Yes, and as your mother-in-law and only surviving family right now, you should share the money with me as well. We are family after all. You are my daughter as much as Grant is my son, Joanne added. It's ironic how I have suddenly become your daughter, Joanne. Until about yesterday, I was just the witch your son married. Anyway, you shouldn't get so carried away. We won't be family anymore, not that we were ever family. What do you mean, Peyton? I'm your mother-in-law, so I am family, Joanne insisted. How could you be my mother-in-law when I won't be married to your son anymore? If Grant loses his husband's title, you'll be less than nothing to me. What is the meaning of this, Peyton? Why won't I be your husband anymore? What is going on? Grant demanded. Well, I have filed for divorce. I did it the day after my grandma died. I won't be staying with you anymore, Grant. You're a terrible husband and don't deserve to be one, I said, throwing the divorce papers on the table. Grant and Joanne both read the papers to check if I was speaking the truth. When they finished, their eyes shot up in disbelief, and they exchanged worried glances. I guess they didn't think I was capable of filing for divorce. What is this, Peyton? Why have you filed for divorce? This doesn't make any sense, Grant stammered. Do you think I'm weak enough to be stuck in an abusive marriage for the rest of my life? Why are you surprised, Grant? I told you this was coming. I told you the very day Joanne tripped me. My God, why are you still stuck in the past? I have apologized for it, and it has happened already. I can't change that. You need to be a little forgiving. This is not a big enough problem to warrant a divorce. Mom has already made amends for that, Grant said. So Joanne, you confessed to tripping me, and all you do is tell me to get over it? Get this into your heads. I am divorcing you, and you won't get a cent of my inheritance. I can't believe I fell in love with such a vile man like you, Grant. I'm ashamed I tried my best to impress a monster like you, Joanne, but this abuse ends now. We are definitely getting a divorce, and we can do this the simple way or the difficult way. Suddenly, Grant and Joanne looked very pissed at me. They didn't like that I called them out on their behavior. They knew I was serious since I had already filed for divorce. It wasn't a threat to make them do what I wanted. It was a reality they had to face, especially since I now had a lot of money. What's the use of divorcing me, Peyton? You have more money than me because your inheritance is our marital asset. I'll get half of it anyway, Grant said. You might get half, but most of it will be spent on the lawyer. Did you forget about the prenup you and your mother forced me to sign? I'm sure my dear mother-in-law can remind you of it. She was adamant we sign it, I replied. It suddenly dawned on them that they had screwed themselves over. They had no idea I would become a millionaire. They wanted to protect themselves because they knew no sane woman would stay with them after their abuse. The prenup was a way for them to abuse people without consequences. But this time, they just played themselves. They dug their own graves. The prenup was a long time ago. I'll talk to a lawyer and find out what we can do. We won't let you walk away with all that money, Grant stammered. Yeah, you're doing this to threaten us. You can't do anything to us, Peyton. We will take your money and do what we please with it, Joanne added. So I take it that you will try and fight me in court? I asked. Oh, don't worry, Peyton. We will make this hard for you. You can't just decide on your own. I'll fight you in court. You can't get divorced without my signature. Remember that, Grant threatened. Really, Grant? So you will intentionally make the process difficult for me? Well, that's not an issue. I'm prepared for everything. I have some ammo of my own, I said. What do you mean, Peyton? Joanne asked. Joanne, remember how you confessed to tripping me and abusing me in texts? Well, I will use them to file a report to the cops. That would be fun, wouldn't it? I said. No, you won't do that. You can't do that to me. I'll delete all the texts. Joanne panicked. Don't worry, Joanne. I have all the texts saved and sent to some of my friends. Trust me, I'm perfectly capable of reporting you to the police. In fact, I can also show how Grant knew and didn't do anything to protect me. It'll be a downhill battle for you in divorce court, I said. Joanne and Grant immediately started to hound me with apologies. They forgot that I had the power to put Joanne in jail. They thought I had let go of the incident, but I was just biding my time, waiting for the right moment. Joanne and Grant were in deep trouble, unsure of what to do. I took the divorce papers with me and left the house. I would collect my things the next day. Grant and Joanne tried to stop me, saying, "Don't walk away from us, Peyton. Let's sit and have a conversation about it. We can deal with the situation like adults and not make any rash decisions." "Yeah, where will you go anyway?" "Let's talk about it," Grant added. "I'm moving into my grandmother's house. It has already been transferred to my name. I will be living there and waiting for Grant to decide on the divorce. I'm taking the papers with me so that you can't damage them and make me file again. As for my things, I've taken pictures of everything. Don't even think about damaging or getting rid of anything," I warned. Grant and Joanne went on trying to stop me, but I had already called a friend who was waiting for me outside. I got into her car and drove off. Grant and Joanne stood at the door, staring at us the whole time. After arriving at my new place, I contacted a moving company and booked them to bring my things from the house. In the months that followed, Grant and Joanne did their best to try and change my mind. I kept reminding them about going to the cops. Grant did talk to a lawyer, who told him in no uncertain terms that the prenup was solid and he had no way out. After being threatened by me multiple times, Grant was forced to sign the divorce papers. He didn't want his mom in jail after all, and he knew I would never give him a chance again. Grant and Joanne are currently not talking to each other. Wondering why? Well, Grant did not take the divorce well and started to blame Joanne for causing problems between us. He was sure that Joanne was the reason he missed out on being a millionaire. After countless fights, he ended up kicking her out with nothing. Since Joanne lived off Grant's money, she was left homeless and without funds. Last I heard, Joanne was in a homeless women's shelter with no idea what to do with herself. I made sure to inform everyone about what horrible people Joanne and Grant are, so they have been isolated from others. No one really talks to them anymore. As for me, I'm enjoying my new life and casually watching the aftermath. I still live at my grandmother's place since it holds sentimental value to me. From my inheritance, I have donated some money to women's help centers and plan on doing more for them. The rest of the money has been invested and secured for my future family. I still work at my old job since I don't want to sit idle. Life is good so far, and I'm hopeful I will meet someone who deserves me.